Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter and on Vero at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Sunday's edition of the dceu Daily as we continue to talk about more Flash movie leaks, which are utter bullshit. And we'll get into it in a minute. First, there have been some official images, more official images from Matt Reeves, the Batman, that will be released in March. Very, very exciting. On his own Earth. Nothing to do with the dceu Central Universe as well. So very exciting. So we have the one everyone's talking about, the Bat and the Cat. This is Batman and Catwoman. And this is Robert Pattinson. And I forgot her name already. What's her name anyway? She's Jason Momoa's stepdaughter, isn't she? But basically looking very, very good there. And I love this image. It's kind of dark, romantically, very well lit up as well. So I like this. Then we have Oswald Cobblepot, who's played by Colin Farrell, but you couldn't tell it by looking at this these amazing prosthetics. It's interesting that Colin was chose for this, as he looks nothing like the character. You could ask, why didn't you cast someone else in the role? Well, it looks like he wanted Colin Farrell's performance. There's something about the audition with Colin that he really liked, and I'm really excited to see what Colin does in this character. Now, we're not going to see much of him in the Batman, but we will see him in his own HBO Max streaming series, continuing from the Batman movie, which is very, very exciting. And this is Jim Gordon and Batman together looking at some evidence. Really, really cool. I like this image as well. Again, well lit up. Look, I don't think we've seen anything in comic book live action fare as this movie before. It's going to be a very interesting take. I wonder if it's going to be divisive or if it's going to be a take that everybody enjoys. And finally, we have the Riddler. And this is a really cool image of the Riddler looking good. He's not looking like a version of the Riddler that we know, but of course this is a beginning of a saga. Not that I expect him ever to be the Riddler of the 1960s TV series, but this is a great look for what Matt Reeves is attempting to do. And this is really part of the celebration of what 2022 should be for all DC Extended Universe fans. It should be a time of celebration. Unfortunately, some people are still stirring up a spot of propaganda. And here's another image of the Riddler. Now, he's called Edward Nashton in this version, not Edward Nigma. Now, Edward Nashton, I think, was the original name for the Riddler. So a lot of people have got a lot of kind of opposing opinions about this. But again, it's perfect for what Matt Reeves is doing. He's this mysterious, gritty, frightening figure haunting Gotham City, and it's a very, very haunting look. So again, it's the right look for the right movie and the right time. So I've already discussed this account that was formed in October of 2021 that was the first to leak a lot of things about the Flash movie last weekend. Now, apparently this is a big account that has got a lot of kind of Marvel leaks, MCU leaks right in the past over on other kind of platforms that a lot of people don't go on. But when you get to a comment like this, when you come to a post like this, you know what people are about. So their name is My Time to Shine. Hello, that's what you think. When you call yourself My Time to Shine Hello, this means you're doing things so you can shine, so you can be successful. It's easy to work out, isn't it, everyone? So this is their latest post. Peacemaker Episode 8, Farting Contest, X-Ray the Justice League. Now, of course, this is supposed to trigger you. This is supposed to upset you that there's humour in the Peacemaker streaming series. Now, some people are saying, well, none of the humour in the trailer made them laugh. Look, I don't really find James Gunn's humour hilariously laugh out funny. It does make me smile. I'm not a fan of farting humour. I think it's boring and bland. But isn't this what the multiverse is all about? that we got certain corners of the DC live action universe for different people. There's some people that are going to find this funny. There's some people who are going to love Peacemaker. The write-ups and the reviews and the reactions to this streaming series have been mostly positive. In fact, I haven't found any negativity, right? Apart from when critics find something to find about in their kind of balanced pieces. But mostly it's been very positive for Peacemaker. You know what you're going to get from a James Gunn piece of work. It's why I call him a one-trick pony. But it's not a bad thing. I like James Gunn. I like what he does. And I'm looking forward to eventually being able to watch Peacemaker. So this really doesn't bother me. But of course, it's a stirring of the pot. And that's all they're interested in doing. Now, Mickey Sutton has been talking about the Flash movies and saying that basically there are two versions of this movie. One where the Snyderverse isn't deleted and one where the Snyderverse is deleted. Now, if you know anything about how movies are made, you know there are multiple cuts of a movie. That's how it works, and this is how they edit the final cut together. So could there be one of these cuts that actually either deletes the Snyderverse or doesn't? Maybe, maybe not. But this is not really breaking news. It's, as I keep on saying to you, it's up to you who you believe. Me, with not so many followers, or following liars and con artists because they've got a lot of weight behind themselves. The reason they're successful in the first place isn't because they did a good video and everyone started following them. It's because they spent hundreds and thousands of dollars, euros or sterling on promotional campaigns to be seen on YouTube or on Twitter or whatever, right? They've spent money to become social media famous, and I haven't. And that's the difference between me and them. Some of you say to me in my comments, we can't believe you don't get more views. Well, because I haven't really tried to get more views. That's the truth. I put the videos out there, I share them once when they upload, and that's it. And I really should be doing more for the platform, and I will be this year. We'll be looking to improve the way we record the videos, and it will be a lot more fun, and we'll go back to doing live streams, but we'll still be doing pre-recorded videos as well, because I think it's important that any YouTube channel has a balance of difference in how it executes its content. But at the end of the day, I do speak truths and I speak my opinions. And in my opinion, the Snyderverse isn't going to be deleted, but it will be shifted from the central universe to its own pocket universe. That's not a deletion, because basically it means Warner Brothers still want to make money, right? So if they decide one day that they want to restore the Snyderverse, it's there to be restored in its own pocket universe. Plus, they don't want the Snyderverse to be leading, to be the main, narrative leading the central universe of the DC extended universe, because they want their own central universe. They want to tell their own narrative. And I told you last week and the week before that Man of Steel will be the leaping off point for the DC extended universe after the Flash movie. So this leak from Mikey Sutton, or is it Mickey Sutton, or whatever, right, you can take with a pinch of salt. I don't believe there's any truth to this whatsoever. And if you want to believe Mikey or Mickey, it's up to you. But at the end of the day, I don't. I don't believe that there's a version where they delete the Snyderverse and they don't delete the Snyderverse. They're either deleting the Snyderverse or they're not. I don't think they're undecided about this. Now we know that Andy Muschietti has now finished his director's cut, so it's ready for the studio to see. And once the studio has seen it, there will be test screenings. This is a huge movie for Warner Brothers Pictures. They allowed Andy the time and the budget to do what was necessary to make this movie what he wanted it to be and what they want it to be. This shoot took 6 months. This is a record-breaking long shoot for a DC Extended Universe movie. No other movie has shot for longer. So it's clear that they wanted to give him the time and the space to get this right. So this is not Justice League. The Flash movie isn't Justice League. The Batman isn't Justice League. Black Adam isn't Justice League. And Aquaman 2 isn't Justice League. I think the Flash movie is a bit like the first Aquaman film. Nobody really knew what the first Aquaman film would be, but the trailers looked fantastic. And that convinced people to go to the movie theatres and part with their money. And I think it's the same with the Flash movie. It's all about the marketing. We've had very little marketing thus far. I don't even know if we've had any posters, but we certainly had a quick little piece of footage at last year's DC Fandom, which looked very, very promising indeed. So I'm really excited for this movie. I'm excited because Zack's people are involved in this movie. Andy Muschietti is a really good, young, up-and-coming Argentinian director, and I do not believe that Andy would do anything to destroy somebody else's vision. But, and let's be clear about this, Zack Snyder has been consulted about everything. Why? Because he's a producer. He started off this franchise, so he has to know everything. He knows everything, and I'm sure he's ventured an opinion. And I'm sure his opinion has been a little bit respected. We know there's uncomfortable relationships between him and the studio, but at the end of the day, he cast a lot of these actors. And he's an executive producer on all these other movies going forward as well, whether they reboot them or not. To get rid of Snyder's name completely, you would have to start from scratch with a new cast. And this is interesting, isn't it? Because if they wanted to be that toxic, they could have rebooted. They could have started again. They're kind of starting again, but it's still with a lot of the people that Zack Snyder cast for these iconic roles. Have a think about that for a minute as well. But you are going to get so many more fake bullshit leaks. And it's up to you whether you believe them or not. As I keep on saying, for me, this is a very, very exciting year for DC live action. There's a lot of things going on. Very soon, there'll be a Green Lantern Corps live action, high budgeted streaming service show filming in development. So that's very exciting as well. There's a lot of things happening. We've got Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves actually making a sequel to Batman the animated series as well. Exciting. So a lot of decisions that Warner Brothers are actually making are great. In fact, all of the future decisions I see them making are not shit decisions. Is the Batman a shit decision? No. Is Black Adam a shit decision? No. Is the Flash a shit decision? Well, some of you are going to say yes, but I think it's a necessary decision to rebrand the format, to rebrand the franchise. Because no one can actually, even if you're a Snyderverse stan, can say it was totally working for the studio. Can you really say that? Can you put your hand on your heart and say this was perfect? Now, I am so grateful for the Snyderverse. I think Man of Steel, BVS and the Snyder Cut are something beautiful within this franchise. Do I want them deleted? No. Do I think they should be deleted? No. But there's ways of moving them aside into a pocket universe so nobody's upset. Because it's clear they want to make a more mainstream consumer-friendly franchise. Which, again, whether you stand the Snyderverse or not, and I do, and I'm proud we have these movies in existence, I think they're wonderful. But I still feel they're not consumer-friendly. I just don't think they are. That's why there was such a divisive response to BVS. Again, BVS is a great movie. I mean, that beautiful sequence in The Nightmare Future. Definitely a superior sequence to what we got in the Snyder Cut, although I love what we got in the Snyder Cut. And plus, that was a little bit more rushed because Zack just didn't have the budget and the time to do it how he wanted. But it still looks great, don't misunderstand me. But that IMAX Nightmare Future sequence is fucking beautiful. It's probably one of the best things I've ever seen in live action comic book adaptations. It's great. And it's a foreshadowing moment. It's funny how people got confused about that. I never got confused. It was obvious that the Flash coming to the future, while he's Ben Affleck's Batman, Bruce Wayne is sleeping. It's all kind of there that it's a foreshadowing, isn't it? And it's a brilliant foreshadowing, especially the moment in The Nightmare Future when Superman, for all intents and purposes, kills Batman. So, look, these are great movies. I really, really like them. I have no issues with the Snyderverse. But, as someone who understands, consumers and business, and it's all about common sense, I'm sure you understand as well that we couldn't just continue with the way things were going, right? We are not going to be able to compete. The studio's not going to be able to compete. You need a franchise with a mainstream universe that has something for everyone. And this is what they're going for moving forward. So there's some leaks, for example, that came out last week that I can totally believe. That kind of Supergirl and Shazam and Ezra Miller's The Flash start off a brand new Justice League. I can actually believe that. But then that would lead to no Cavill and no Affleck. Well, now with everything that Affleck said this week and the previous weeks, we know Affleck won't be involved after The Flash. He's happy, you should be happy. Henry Cavill, I just don't know. Is Grace Randolph telling the truth that he's not in the movie and they're just using old stock footage? Well, I ain't seen the movie and she ain't seen the movie. So she's just spoken to someone who's told her something and she's reiterated it to you. Now, I don't want to kill the messenger here because I do know that Grace Randolph is a mixed bag. Sometimes she gives good information, sometimes she gives bad information. I have no idea. But I do believe that the Flashpoint movie will end leaving us with Man of Steel as a jumping off point. I do believe that. I'm pretty certain about that. So I don't have any worries there. But again, I could be wrong. It's just the way I see it, the way with Zod being involved, the way Feora's involved, the leaks we had about Barry Allen actually treading in Man of Steel and warning Superman. How can he warn Superman if Superman isn't in the movie? Does he talk to the old stock footage on the TV screen? Doesn't really make sense. I think the Sasha Calais Twitter account got it right, that these were badly worded leaks, and I think they were done on purpose to incite anger and reaction. And I mean, if you want to follow a Pied Piper blowing a flute, you know, because these people are laughing at you. The truth of the matter is, we can only go on hunches and what things like that Andy Muschietti has said. And I repeat, the man has said, it's like starting again. Nothing will be forgotten and everything will be remembered. So how is this going to work? I have no idea. Look, it's weird, isn't it? Maybe those films all stand and they start from the last movie somehow. But how are you starting again if you're doing that? That's just a theory. It's not one of my strongest theories, by the way, but I don't know what he means. But clearly, whatever they do, whether they knock down the rest of the movies apart from Man of Steel, maybe what he's saying is that will be remembered somehow. So it's interesting how this works and how they're going to do it. I believe that the Flash movie will be very respectful and very tasteful to the Snyderverse. I just believe that. Because, as I said, you don't work with someone's VFX team if you're about to delete his universe. I mean, not even Hollywood would do that. So I don't think that's the case, and I think everyone... Look, nobody can be happy that Snyder was driven away from the DC Extended Universe. No one can be happy about it. I'm not happy about it. That we didn't get to finish his epic arc. I mean, his films are amazing. It's very, very tragic to me. I'm very sad about it. I'm not happy. I'm just trying to make the best of a bad situation because ultimately I'm a DC fan. And I want to see this franchise continue. I'm obsessed with the DC Extended Universe. I think it's the most unique, crazy little franchise of all time. And how it's still hobbling on, still standing, and how bulletproof it is. And it is bulletproof because this film has had films... Sorry, let me say that again. This franchise has had films that haven't done very well financially, but it's still standing. After each flop, the propaganda merchants think, yeah, the DCEU is finished now. They have to restore the Snyderverse, but they keep on hobbling on. But this year, you can't be bulletproof because you've invested real money. You put your money in Matt Reeves. You put your money in The Rock as Black Adam. You put your money in this big Flashpoint reboot and then the Aquaman movie as well and Batgirl. You've got, and Peacemaker as well. It's a big year. And it all has to work. Now, from what I can tell from the critical reaction of Peacemaker, which is the first thing DC live action of this year, in terms of the DC Extended Universe, people like it. So if you want to get offended because of fart jokes and stupid things like that, fart competitions, it's up to you. But James Gunn fans are going to gobble it up. And as I said on the top of the show, isn't that the whole point of the multiverse? To have something for everyone. If you don't like James Gunn, if you don't like what he does, you don't have to consume it. This is the point I'm making. But there will be people out there desperate for this type of stuff. It's funny, it's light, it works for his fans, and it'll work for the corner of the DC live action, fandom. And that's the whole point. So that's the whole point of having something for everyone. Now, your argument will be, well, if it's a multiverse and there's something for everyone, then that means there should be something for the Snyderverse fans. I agree. But let me remind you of one thing. You've already had 3 movies. You've already had Ben Affleck in a Suicide Squad movie as Batman, right? You've already had an epic 4-hour Justice League movie. So you've already had a lot. I'm not saying you shouldn't have any more. And you've had some stuff taken away from you, no question about it, as I have as a Snyder DCEU fan. But there's some corners of the DCEU fandom or the DC fandom that have had nothing. At least you've had something. So it's only fair they get something they like before you get back what you love too. So we've got to be fair and balanced. Otherwise, we're just a bunch of selfish fans who only care what we want. So let's go back to the main headlines. Mikey Sutton is saying there are 2 cuts of the Flash movie, one where they delete the Snyderverse and one when they don't. I can confirm that this leak is fake. Last week's leaks were badly worded, I would say. There's some truths in those leaks, but they weren't told to you in the proper way. The only thing you can do with these leaks is just ignore them, right? Maybe you hear something you like, maybe wishful thinking, say that's exciting. If you don't like something, just ignore it. There's only one way you're ever going to know what happens in this movie for real. And that's when you consume this movie. Because I believe that the Flash movie is a celebration, not only of everything ever done in DC live action, but the comics, where it all started. And maybe some Easter eggs for animated DC fans as well, which would be really fun. As I say, it's a huge movie. They've never allowed the director to take so long on a movie, and it is the movie that's going to change everything. I'm excited for it. I'm here for it. What you do with it is entirely up to you. But it is coming. It does have Batfleck in it. It does have Michael Keaton's Batman in it. It's just a huge moment for DC fandom. And I'm here to embrace it. This has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll see you again tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. Until then, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.